you can mitigate probably 90% or more of your suffering. Tremendous. And that's just a life. That's a game changer.
So here you are from your mid-30s till now, 60 almost, and I know, Adya, that in your life there's been a certain amount of suffering, physical suffering, some illnesses, physical pain, and I think that people have an idea, I know it's an idea that I've had, that once you're had the kind of openings that you describe, you'll never suffer again, no matter what happens. That's this idea we have. Like,
Yes.
oh, you're, Adyashanti. He's this great teacher. He had these big spiritual awakenings. He probably never suffers, no matter what happens to him.
Yeah.
And in knowing you, I've learned that's not really the way it goes. So I want to understand a little more about that. What type of suffering does in fact end when you have spiritual awakenings, but what type you're still subject to as a human being?
Great questions. I think I always shy away from too absolute statements. So lots of what I call optional suffering does drop away with awakening, depending on how deep it is. The more clear we get, the more clear it gets the difference between pain and suffering, between ouch, that hurts, and that dark cloud that can make you feel buried at times, or some version of that. And what I found was, for quite some time when this started, I could experience really high amounts of pain with a minimum amount of suffering around it. And it can be, I'll be quite honest with you. I've had the most intensive times of suffering since all these experiences I've told you about. Most of all of which were tied into physical, extreme physical pain. But I hadn't experienced either the pain or the suffering that came along with it. I hadn't experienced anything remotely like that before in my first 45 years of life. Nothing remotely like it. And so, it's not a great advertisement, but I think there's also a mature version of all this. Because we do have, all of us, I think I had it, we do have the immature version of us, which just so desperately wants to grab onto, there's a fairy tale ending where I will be immune from life. First of all, do you really want to be immune from life? Because you can't be immune from all the ouch and get all the good stuff. It doesn't work that way.
I think that's what people want.
Of course they want that, and it's absolutely understandable that they do want it. The good news is you can mitigate probably 90% or more of your suffering. Tremendous. And that's just a life. That's a game changer. Total life changer. But the idea to shoot for something called absolutely no suffering, zero, and that's what enlightenment is about, to me, it's a total myth. It's a myth.
And now you're making this distinction between a different kind of suffering. What's this different kind?
Yeah, the suffering that's not optional is, well, let's go to somebody like somebody you love, parent, partner, great friend, maybe a pet that dies. It's natural for you to feel some grief. And so there's kinds of suffering that you're going to have grief. Grief's natural, enlightened or unenlightened. Yes, maybe with some awakening experience, that the gap of that can be narrowed. Maybe I can explain it in a quick story. This is a story that actually happened in the last 40 years or so. And there was a Zen teacher, and he went out to dinner with 6 or 7 students. And they were having dinner, and he got a call at the restaurant. And somebody called and said, is so-and-so there? Was the teacher. He answered the phone. And he was informed that his wife had passed away. You know, he hangs up the phone. He's at the table with the students, and he just collapses in tears, wailing. I mean, the kind of wailing that's uncontrolled. And that everybody starts to get uncomfortable. You know, the restaurant gets uncomfortable. Here's this guy just wailing and tears. And his students, one by one, they kind of get up. Should we give him space? Or this is uncomfortable. Anyway, a number of them end up out in front of the restaurant. And one of them says, gosh, what's up with our teacher? I thought he was enlightened. And his most senior student, most kind of advanced student, looked at that person and said, how sad you've been with him all this time and you know nothing about enlightenment. And to me, the teaching in that, the enlightenment part, is that this teacher, but really underneath teacher and Zen master and all this, is a human being. This human being is the awakened part, is he's letting it rip. He is not containing. He's not trying to put on airs. He's not trying to hold it back. He's just completely being exactly where he is. And if that's just wailing in grief at the news that his wife has died, entirely appropriate. The no holding back.
Discover on-demand videos and docuseries, explore a full schedule of daily life classes, and become part of an incredible community. At Sounds True One, we invite you inward to find your way your way.